The morning sun rose over the towering glass building of Novatech Industries, one of the leading tech firms in Silicon Valley. Inside, the atmosphere was tense and filled with frustration. For weeks, a team of 30 elite engineers had been trying to solve a massive problem in the company's latest innovation, a highly advanced security system called Aegis 1. The software was designed to protect sensitive data for governments and major corporations worldwide. Billions of dollars and the company's reputation were at stake. Yet despite sleepless nights, endless coffee, and countless lines of code, the system kept failing. Mr. Raymond, the CEO, paced across the floor, his face red with anger. 30 engineers and not one solution? He shouted. Do you realize what's at risk? The engineers exchanged anxious glances. They had tried everything, rewriting the algorithm, testing different frameworks, debugging every function, but the code refused to cooperate. Every time they thought they fixed the problem, the system crashed again. By late evening, exhaustion had taken over. The team decided to order food, hoping a quick break might clear their minds. A few minutes later, a young delivery girl named Lila entered the building carrying boxes of pizza. She wore a faded jacket and had tired eyes, yet there was a quiet intelligence about her. As she placed the boxes on the table, her gaze accidentally landed on the massive screen displaying lines of complex code scrolling rapidly. She tilted her head slightly, intrigued. Something about the structure caught her attention. You're using recursive encryption for dynamic validation? She said softly, almost to herself. One of the engineers looked up and laughed. You understand any of that? Lila smiled shyly. A little. I studied coding once. The room erupted in chuckles. Well, maybe you can fix it for us then. Someone joked. Lila didn't respond. She quietly stepped back, but her mind began analyzing what she'd seen. Patterns, loops, and logic flaws flashed in her thoughts like a puzzle waiting to be solved. She could see what they were missing, but she knew no one would take her seriously. Little did they know. After delivering the food, girl was about Lila waited quietly near the corner of the lab, could not, hoping to collect payment code before heading to her next delivery. The engineers were too busy arguing over the latest crash report to notice her. She stood there, watching lines of code flash across the giant screen. Her fingers itched with the familiar urge to type. Every part of her brain screamed that she knew what was wrong. Lila hadn't always been a delivery girl. 2 years ago, she had been a promising computer science student at a top university. She had dreams of building smart systems and working for companies like Novatech. But life had taken a cruel turn. Her mother had fallen gravely ill, and with mounting hospital bills, Lila was forced to drop out and take up delivery work to survive. Still, she carried a small notebook where she jotted down coding ideas and algorithms during her breaks. Her love for technology never died. It just waited for a chance to shine again. As she stood in that high-tech lab, fate finally gave her that chance. When one of the engineers accidentally spilled coffee on her delivery bag, she sat down at an empty desk to clean it up. The nearby monitor displayed an error log that caught her eye, endless red lines repeating a pattern she instantly recognized. That's a logical recursion loop, she whispered. Excuse me, she said nervously to the head engineer. May I just take a look? Maybe I can help. He raised an eyebrow but handed her the keyboard with a smirk. Go ahead. Let's see what the pizza girl can do. Lila ignored the mockery. Her fingers danced swiftly across the keys as if she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. She rearranged a few variables, redefined a conditional statement, and altered a single recursive function. Within minutes, the screen that had been full of red errors turned green. The system ran smoothly for the first time in weeks. The room fell silent. The clicking of keyboards stopped. Everyone stared at the screen, then at Lila. The head engineer's jaw dropped. What did you just do? He stammered. Lila hesitated for a moment, then smiled humbly. I just fixed the logic, she said softly. No one realized it yet, but this delivery girl had just rewritten the company's destiny. When the system suddenly began to run smoothly, a wave of stunned silence swept across the lab. The same software that had been crashing for weeks was now operating perfectly. Green status bars filled the screens, and real-time data flowed without interruption. One of the senior engineers quickly checked the diagnostics. No errors, no bugs, no lags. Everyone froze in disbelief. The head engineer turned to Lila, still seated nervously with her hands on the keyboard. "What did you do?" he asked again, this time with a mix of awe and confusion. Lila hesitated. "The problem wasn't in the encryption itself," she explained softly. "It was in the recursive validation loop. It was stuck in an infinite cycle, calling itself over and over. I adjusted the logic to make it terminate properly." Her calm explanation left everyone speechless. None of the 30 engineers had seen that mistake, something so simple yet so deeply buried in the system's core. The door burst open, and Mr. Raymond, the CEO, entered with frustration written all over his face. "What's going on here?" he demanded. "I just got a message that the system's back online." "Is that true?" The engineers nodded silently. The head engineer pointed toward Lila. "Sir, she did it." Mr. Raymond frowned. "Who's she?" "I don't remember hiring a new coder." "She's the delivery girl," someone muttered. The CEO blinked in disbelief. "You're telling me a pizza delivery girl fixed what 30 of my best engineers couldn't?" he said, his voice filled with disbelief. He stepped forward, his sharp eyes scanning Lila's humble uniform. But when he looked at the screen again, there was no denying the truth. The system was flawless. Lila stood up slowly, unsure of what to say. "I just noticed the logic issue," she said softly. "Anyone could have fixed it." Mr. Raymond stared at her for a long moment, then broke into a slow, astonished smile. "Anyone? No. You saw what no one else could." The entire team watched in awe as the CEO extended his hand to her. "Miss, what's your name?" "Lila," she replied quietly. "Well, Lila," he said with admiration, "you just saved Novatech." The room erupted in applause. For the first time in weeks, hope and pride filled the air. The next morning, the story of the delivery girl who saved Novatech spread like wildfire. Within hours, news outlets, social media pages, and tech forums were buzzing with headlines like "Pizza Delivery Girl Fixes Multi-Million-Dollar Security Bug" and "Genius Hidden in Plain Sight." People couldn't believe it. A young woman with no job title, no fancy office, and no degree had done what a team of world-class engineers couldn't. At Novatech headquarters, Lila was invited to Mr. Raymond's office. She entered nervously, clutching her worn-out delivery bag. The CEO stood up and greeted her with a warm smile. "Lila," he said, "you didn't just fix a program, you saved this company." He handed her a sleek envelope. Inside was a letter of employment and a full scholarship to complete her computer science degree. Tears welled up in Lila's eyes. For years she had been treated as invisible, someone people looked past. And now the same people were applauding her genius. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Just say yes," Mr. Raymond replied kindly. "We need minds like yours." When Lila walked into the development floor later that day, the same engineers who had once laughed at her now stood and clapped. One of them smiled and said, "Welcome to the team, Lila." She felt her heart swell with pride. She wasn't delivering pizza anymore. She was delivering innovation. Over the next few months, Lila became the lead developer for the Aegis 1 project. Under her guidance, the system reached new levels of success, attracting contracts from top global companies. Her humble nature and sharp intelligence inspired everyone around her. She started mentoring young programmers, reminding them that titles don't define talent. Effort and passion do. One evening, as she left the office, she looked up at the shining Novatech logo and smiled. Life had come full circle. From riding her scooter through rain-soaked streets to leading one of the most advanced tech projects in the world, she had proven that greatness can come from anywhere. And somewhere deep inside, she whispered to herself, "I wasn't meant to deliver food. I was meant to deliver solutions." Her journey had just begun.